We wanted to create a fun, non-judgmental space where women can talk about their shared experiences.
Here, we will normalize the challenges we face as females living in a society that dictates unrealistic and outdated expectations on what a woman should be.
Together, we hope to cultivate a supportive community of women who empower one another to courageously live unapologetically.
A quick disclaimer before we get started. Although Cindy and Danielle are licensed therapists, this podcast is not to be interpreted as therapy or a replacement of therapeutic services. It is strictly a conversation between two women about their experiences in the world. If you liked today's episode, please make sure to like and subscribe below. Also, follow us on all of our social media platforms at Unapologetically Females. With that being said, we hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome back to another episode. Today, we are talking about our age.
We are, because Danielle just turned 40. I turned 50 not that long ago. And I always hear people say, oh my gosh, when I turn 50, like the switch goes on and everything goes downhill. And I will say I've caught myself get out of bed and walk a little differently. And it makes me so mad when I'm like, oh shit, that was a shuffle.
Shuffle. Oh,
you know,
no.
like your body takes a second to get back in the groove.
To warm up. Rev your engine.
Exactly. Especially if I had an active day the day before. Yeah.
Did you mentally, was 50 a hard number to digest?
You know, I don't know why, but no. I mean, I physically fight age, like the way I look. Platinum blonde, a little Botox, you know, the thing, all the stuff. But mentally, 50 didn't hit me hard.
Okay.
Yeah, no. And but I was also in a different spot in my life. So for me, it might not be fair to ask because
it was almost like a rebirth for you.
It was like a rebirth for me.
Yeah.
And did I have a bit of a midlife crisis? I bought a sports car, so yeah. There was that, and we love it.
We love it.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it didn't hit me hard. How about 40 for you?
No, it hasn't been hard. I kind of love it.
Yeah.
For me, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day because they had asked me like, how does it feel? And, you know, and I'm like, obviously I didn't wake up on my 40th birthday and be like, oh my gosh, it feels so different. Like I have really come into my own today.
Right.
You know, like
this is 40.
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily like that, but for me mentally, it was I don't know, like I feel proud of where I am at 40 and who I am. And I know who I am, you know, like it's one of those things where I'm like, I feel there's a level of just empowerment, I think, that I have felt as I've aged.
Yeah.
And coming into a new decade for me has felt like exciting. Do you know what I mean? It's like I know that it's whatever I want to do, whatever, like I can create whatever that is. And so, whereas I think at 30, it was uncertainty and
30's still young.
Right?
It really is. I mean, everybody says, oh, your 20s are the best. I'm looking at Rita as I say this. And yeah, but 20s are hard. They really are. You know, you're like, you go through school. If you decide to go to college, you go through school and there's always somebody to talk to and there's always somebody, you know, around, and everything is built around social situations. And then you maybe graduate from college or graduate from high school or move on in that way. And it's like, well, where is everybody? Right? Oh, crap. And now, and along with that, I got to go find my own people and I got to adult and I got to, right? So 20s, I feel like there's a great book about that, and we'll put it in the comments or notes or something. I know what it is, The Defining Decade. So if you're in your 20s and there's a book that, you know, you want to read about how it makes sense that your 20s are hard, The Defining Decade is a good one. But then 30, let's see, you were pregnant in your late 30s.
I was. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. For me, 30s were great. Where I was at 30 versus 39 are like
Totally.
night
There's a
and day
big difference.
difference. It's crazy. Like it to reflect on that decade, it's like I every year grew into, you know, who I am today, right?
Right.
And yeah, it was so I think that I learned a lot in my 30s. I grew emotionally, mentally, as a person. I became a mom in my 30s. So yeah, my career grew.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that for me, my 30s there was a lot of changing. I think, you know, my 20s was filled with a lot of good times and,
Yeah, same.
you know, had a ton of fun. Didn't know who the hell I was. Definitely lacked confidence.
Well, frontal lobe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, all of those
Not
things.
fully developed till 26.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then it's learning to use that fully developed frontal lobe after that.
Right.
Yeah. I will say I'm excited for you in your 40s because I feel like in our 40s, and for me, this was true, but I had kids a little younger. But that's when I really solidified my grown female relationships. Because I had more time to focus on them. And we were also still in the trenches, still raising our kids, but our kids were in school. And so we found time to kind of figure out how we best supported each other, but also what we enjoyed together and had time and didn't feel so strung out from, you know, babies at home and things like that. So I feel like 40s is a great time to kind of get to know your people better or find new people that way, you know, because you have a little more freedom with that now.
Right. I haven't thought about that actually. Making new friends does not sound
It
like,
doesn't sound fun.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean,
And
just
they don't
spending
always just fall into your
right.
your
And
life.
more so, I think what I do look forward to is being able to spend more time with, you know, the small circle that I do have.
Right.
Because
That too.
that's hard because we're all in that phase, you know, of life where, you know, running around with kids in different activities and
Oh yeah, the soccer mom title is real.
yeah,
Real.
So
yeah.
So I look forward to that, but I don't know. I'm excited for this decade. I think that it will be. I think there's a lot to unfold, and I'm confident in myself. You know, whereas like going into my 30s, I just look back. I think it's interesting how far someone can come in 10 years, because 10 years, yes, is
right.
It's big,
really not that long.
right?
Yeah.
It's really not that long. And so when I reflect on my 30s in the last 10 years, I'm like, wow, who I was going from 29 into 30. I don't even know that person. It's crazy. And I feel bad for her of like how uncertain and reactive.
Right.
And, you know, just
totally.
all of the crazy things.
Emotion mind. We're working in the emotion mind, definitely.
Yes.
When we're younger. Because I don't know if he's okay with this, but how did Joe, your husband, react to being 50? And the reason that I bring this up is because I'm wondering, like, classic midlife crisis turns to men, right? Not that Joe had a midlife crisis, but is it harder on men, do you think, to reach those decades than it is on women?
I think that this birthday for him was, well, he shared, like, this was the hardest number for him to turn. Okay. He struggled with wrapping his head around the number. Because it just felt old to him.
Right.
Older.
I've heard that from a lot of men. That's why I ask. That 50 was really hard.
Yeah, he has said multiple times, like, I'm not talking about it. Like, we're not going to talk about my age. We're not going to mention this. We're not going to do, you know.
Yeah.
Because he's like, then what's next? It's like,
it's got to be hard too when your wife is 10 years younger. Like, you know, she's like, I don't want to be 40, and he's like, really?
Sure.
I'm
Yeah,
50.
it probably doesn't help.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was the first time that he's really struggled with turning an age where he's like, this one just feels different. It feels older. And also again, like thinking about the future, he's like, cause the next big one is like
60.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
is crazy,
Yeah.
you know?
So she's going to be on the show at some point, but I need to give a shout out to my sister.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know she's going to be on the show, but she's going to be on the show. Who looks 10 years younger than me. We always get that. Who's the older one? I'm like, seriously, she's almost 7 years older than me, but okay. But she's 56 and she looks like she's 40. But point being, she started to call herself 60. She's like, yeah, when you're 60 this, 60 that. And I stopped her and I was like, well, you're not 60 yet. And she's like, well, I'm close enough. Like,
Oh my
doesn't even
gosh.
bother her.
Really?
Yeah. She's like, yeah, just, whatever. And I'm like, good for you. Like, it was a good
She's not even
role
50
model.
yet. And she's.
No, she's 50. She's 56.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. 50. Why
she's-
am I? Yes. Sorry.
It's okay.
She's-
Math's not my strong suit either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is she putting herself ahead
At
so many
60.
years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So she's 3.5 years from being 60 and she calls herself 60. So I'm like, huh. So when you said that
Oh,
with
wow.
Joe, like, future tripping into being 60, it's like some people are,
And it does not bother
does not
her.
bother her. Yeah.
Wow.
So then it made me, of course, think, because we always relate ourselves to our siblings, am I going to embrace 60 that way too? And I'm like, I might not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because my Joe will say like, "Oh, it's all downhill from here." Like, from
Right.
50.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like has that in his mindset.
Right.
Which I'm like, we don't have like we still have small kids, so it's like, well, we can't be
Yeah.
all downhill.
Yeah,
We've got
true.
to.
Yeah, like my 50s, I'm looking forward to more travel. And
Right.
because, I raised my kids younger, so they're grown and flown. But yeah, I can imagine. So maybe it looks different for everyone to
Right.
some extent, but
I will say like some of the noticeable differences in things as I have gotten older. So, like a mattress makes a difference.
oh, you got a new mattress.
I did.
Okay, this is how you know you're old, Rita, is when you start getting really excited about a mattress.
Like I
Mhm.
was so excited for it to arrive this week. And
Does it go up and down?
we do have an adjustable bed frame, yes.
Okay.
Um,
That's also how you know you're old. Although you guys have adjustable bed frames, some of you. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, the process to find a new mattress was hilarious to me, that we like laying on a bajillion different beds, testing them out. We were set on, I think, 3 beds before we were set on the one we actually bought.
Does it have 2 different sides? Like,
no, we
okay,
didn't end up
alright,
doing
so
that.
you had to be on the same page.
We did.
Oh.
Because there was
One's
a,
50 and one's 40,
Yeah,
so
yeah. there was a minute when we were going to do Sleep Number, because so you
that's
could do.
what I was looking for.
Yep, we were
Mhm.
going to do that. We were sold on that one for a second, and then changed our minds.
It's quite an investment
It is.
It really
It
is.
is a mattress
when
in
you
and
get
of
old
itself.
anyway.
But those are the things that I don't think you really
Think about.
think about. In my 20s, I could sleep on a freaking couch or on the floor somewhere, or on a blow-up
Yes.
mattress. Now, if I
And
did that,
did
yeah,
oftentimes.
I would
yeah.
I wouldn't be able to move for a couple days. Like my back would be so sore. So
Mhm.
it was funny because I was
My back would be so sore.
yeah. Well, so this old mattress that we had, I was like, my hips like are bothering me at night.
Hips don't lie.
My hips are bothering me at night. I think it's the mattress. And we've had the new mattress for 2 nights now.
And your hips still hurt.
No,
I'm just kidding.
no. Not when I'm sleeping, at least. Like I don't
Good.
wake
You
up
figured it
because
out.
they're, hurting and I have to go from side to side. So, I just think that's fun. Like it's those things that it's like, oh my gosh,
There's
I can't
all
believe
those
that
things
I'm
on
that
Instagram.
age.
It's like, you're old when,
Yeah.
you get excited about,
Yeah.
I don't know, going to the grocery store by yourself. But that's just, your kids are grown. But yeah,
Right.
there's all kinds of.
There's just those little things that I think, although for, the most part, I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's those little reminders where you're like, oh, my mattress matters now.
Yes.
My shoes. Yeah.
I will not give up wearing heels, but they do hit different.
Yeah. When
I can only wear them for so long.
Me too.
Yeah.
I can only wear them for so long. And if I wear them for too long, my knee hurts, my right knee in particular.
Yep. That's very real. Yeah.
So
shoes matter. Yeah.
There's just those little things.
Yeah, but it's kind of refreshing too to just be like, well, screw it. I'm old. I'm going to go with the comfortable shoes.
Right. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, nobody's looking at the 50-year-old and what her shoes look like. And I have to like check myself all the time. Like, should I wear this outfit? Should I wear that outfit? I'm like, I'm 50. Nobody's looking at me. They're all looking at the young Ritas.
They're looking at you.
They're
looking at you.
Not that I need to be looked at, but you get the picture.
But yeah, no, I do think those are like the small reminders. But as far as like coming into a new decade, turning 40, it's been for me, exciting. And 50 for you has been like this rebirth.
Super exciting. Yeah. Rebirth. Yeah. And new chapter and yeah.
Really coming into our own.
Although
there's the little things that just remind us though, like,
this is true.
I can't drink. Like I always say, I'm too old to drink cheap wine.
Same.
So I say that,
Same.
When I say cheap wine, like $5 bottles,
Right. Like
I'm not drinking
Boone's Hill.
Yeah.
That was Boone's Farm.
Yeah. I can't do that anymore and
No.
still recover the next day.
That's
those,
headache central. Yeah.
Yes. So those types of things remind me that I've aged. I'm trying to think of other things, shoes, mattresses, but
glasses, eyeglasses, reading glasses are real. I have to have a pair in every room.
Yeah. See, I don't have, I naturally have vision problems. I always wear glasses, but I don't have issues seeing up close the reading thing yet. So
it's real. And it's a pain in my ass.
I know you do always have your glasses.
I do. You do. And if I don't have them, I make somebody else read for me.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is true. So yeah, I think that, we have
those 10 years younger.
Yeah, those little reminders. I know when we were at Miraval, you were.
You'd be my menu partner.
Yeah.
My menu friend.
Can you read this for me? I'll
and now you're learning like what on there I'll eat and what I won't eat. We're becoming a couple in a way. Yes.
Great.
Sorry, Joe.
It's great. No, it's great. So I would say though, I think for anyone who's worried about entering that new decade,
it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
And, happiness is a choice. But it's true. It is. It's all about how you look at it. Embrace it. Exactly. And also be grateful every day for your health, your physical health. If you got it, then great. So
I think also just remembering and like spending time in reflection of like where you've come from, and the things you've overcome.
Timeline of life.
Right. Yeah. Of
what's made us stronger.
There's so many times when you think you're not going to get through something, right? Or like, you're like, how am I going to survive this? Or this is never going to end. And it's like, it does end.
That's a novella.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's a novel, but it's really a novella.
A novella.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think, reflecting on how far you've come, because
and celebrating it.
We've all continued to push through, and celebrate yourself.
Yep.
So happy 50th.
Happy 40th.
I'm excited for this one.
Me too.
See what we do. All right. Until next time, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Cindy. Thanks for listening.